Hello and welcome. So, thank you all for joining and joining on time. Time is our most valuable asset. So, I really appreciate all of you jumping on here at the time that we're supposed to start. So, thank you. So, I just want to make sure that I'm being heard. If I can just get somebody to give me something in the chat, like an emoji, or I don't know if you can do emojis on this platform, but just some type of signal to let me know that I'm being heard. I would greatly appreciate that. And you will see that there's a little chat function on the side panel. And I would really just appreciate if somebody can just let me know that I'm being heard. So thank you for that. And I have some ice too. You're joining me all the way from across the world. I know it has to be really late there. So thank you for joining. So awesome. So thank you. All right. So I have confirmation that I'm being heard. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So what we're going to be doing today is about motivation. And the reason that I wanted to do this masterclass on motivation is that a lot of us are wondering why we're not motivated to do the things that are beneficial to us. And so this class is really about being able to cultivate that motivation for the things that are beneficial to us. And we're understanding that one of the reasons why we are not motivated for things that are beneficial and healthy for us is that fear is actually the biggest motivator of our behavior. And you can see here that the self here in this image is looking towards the present and the hopes and the dreams, and then fear has our hand and is kind of pulling us the other direction. So that is the essence of both the idea of fear, and that we don't want to be motivated by it, but it actually happens that there is always this subconscious drive because we're trying to prevent ourselves from experiencing hurt and pain. So we're automatically and subconsciously being driven and motivated by fear, even though that's not what we want. So this class is about helping us to be able to tap into our confidence from the inside out so that we can feel a self-worth that makes us more resilient and courageous in the world, so that we can move towards what we want, which is right now in the present, by tapping into our inner wisdom or intuition. So that's what this class is going to be about. So I'm really looking forward to showing you these really fast and simple ways that you can start connecting to your confidence, to your intuition, to your motivation. So as always, I will give those of you that stay through to the end a free bonus. And I will be talking about how you can work with me in this upcoming class that I'm doing that's starting next week. And if you end up sticking through and joining the class today that I'll be talking about at the end, I'm going to give those of you that decide to work with me a special bonus in addition to the one that everybody will get for staying through to the end. So I hope you stick with me. And like I said, I will be out of here and close up within an hour. So I just will give you that, and that is my promise to you. So let's get started. So I'm going to show you a really quick technique that is going to help you first show you how you can start using your body, your mind-body connection, to tap into your intuition, okay? So this is based on kinesiology, which is using a technique called muscle testing. And it's based on the idea that your body has a wisdom and an intuition, and that it knows what it wants, which is different than what your mind thinks, but your body has an actual intuition. And that intuition is going to show up by giving a stronger muscle strength to things that are aligned with what it wants, and giving a more weak response to things that are not aligned or that it does not want. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to muscle test as it relates to decisions. And I'm going to take myself off the slides for a moment and put myself on the screen, but I'm going to show you briefly what the hand positions are. So you can see here that here's two of the hand positions. So we're going to be starting with this is one way to do it, bringing the thumb and index finger together. All right. And then on the second slide, you're going to see the action that we're doing. So there's two options. The first one, which is the bigger picture on the left, is trying to break these two fingers apart by pulling them. And then the other one is trying to break the circle by using your index finger inside your circle hand, the fingers that are enclosed. All right. So those are the hand positions. It's either like this or like this. So I'm going to actually show you on the screen so you can see me do it. All right. So how this works is that you have to ask a question that is like a clear yes or no answer. Not, what is my salary going to be in my ideal job? It's not a genie. All right. So this is yes or no answers, and you have to make them pretty polarized. All right. So one of the ways that muscle testing is often used is around food decisions. So your body knows what foods it wants to eat. Your body knows what, is good for it. So where people use muscle testing a lot is around food. So I like to do it this way. So the idea here is that you're going to make a loop, close your index and thumb finger together on your non-dominant hand. Okay. So once you close and make that loop, you're going to try with your dominant hand to break the loop. But the key here is that you have to try to resist as much as possible with this non-dominant hand. All right. And then at the same time, you ask a question. So I'll do it first like this. So let's say I'm trying to figure out dinner tonight. I want to eat Thai food for dinner. I want to eat sweet green for dinner. Okay, I had sweet green yesterday, so maybe that's why I don't want to eat sweet green. Okay, so that's an example. So you'll be able to tell there's a stronger muscle response for one answer than the other. And you can use it with food. You could also use it just about, trying to understand things about yourself. I feel secure in my relationship with my mom. I do not feel secure in my relationship with my mom. You can do it around decisions. Where should I move? Should I move to California at the end of the summer? So let me ask that question again. I should move. Let me ask in the negative. I should not move to California at the end of the summer. Oh, that was a little bit of a weakness there. I should move to California at the end of the summer. That was a little bit of an ambivalence. So, that was a little bit different than what I thought. I didn't know that I'm wanting to move to California. We've already been through that. So maybe that my body is telling me that a move might be what my inner wisdom is, guiding me towards. So that's one example of how to do muscle testing. So again, it's either with the fingers like this, where you're trying to, again, resist as much as possible and break the circle. And you'll notice a stronger response with the positive answer versus the negative answer, or one answer more than the other. The other way to do it is with one finger and to try to break the loop like that. And then one third way, there's one more third way that I'm not going to do that one for now, but you can, I'll just briefly explain it. You can stand and close your eyes and find your, standing balance point, and then ask yourself questions that are yeses. So, you always want to do that when you muscle test. You always want to say something that is a yes answer, such as, there is a salt crystal behind my shoulder. So there's a salt crystal behind my shoulder. There is, and then I can ask it again. There is a sunflower behind my left shoulder. All right. So you want to ask the question with something that you already know to make sure that the test is working correctly, and then ask with what you don't know. So there's a way to do it like this to test your muscle strength. And then there's another way you can actually stand still and then ask questions that are yes answers, and see which way your body naturally leans. So there's a salt crystal behind my left shoulder. And I might notice if I were standing up that my body sways a certain direction when it's a yes answer. And then when it's a no answer, my body will sway a different way. So that's just a little bonus practice if you want to add that one in there. It's another way to muscle test. All right. So I would love to hear what you all found about that practice, or if you've ever used it before. But I would love to know what you all think. This is something that I've been hearing from people that they really like this practice and they start doing it right away after they do this class. But it's a small way of being able to tap into your intuition. All right. So I just want you to know that you all are in the right place if you are an ambitious achiever. And that might mean that you're in a career currently where you are, you're good at a lot of things. There's many things that you could do, but you're kind of hitting your head on the glass ceiling of your job or the actual role that you're in. And you want to do something else, but you don't have the time and energy to be able to do it. And you're also in the right place if you are what I would call a heart-centered hustler, which is that you have your hands in a lot of different things. There's a lot of different projects and, things that you're involved in, or maybe you even have, start thinking about starting your own business, but you really want to do something that has to do with people or that affects, other people and is meaningful. And that's really important to what you're trying to figure out in your life. And the third thing that I want to say is that you're in the right place if you are a creative entrepreneur. You're not afraid to take risks. You are, maybe also have started businesses or want to start a business or in the middle of, launching a business, but you're really trying to streamline your energy to find that one thing or just a few things that you really want to focus on. So I want to ask you all if either of these things identifies or you identify with any of these things, which one do you connect to or relate to? So do you feel more like you're an achiever, an entrepreneur, heart-centered hustler? I would love to hear in the chat what you all identify the most with. And if none of these identify what you identify with, I'd love to hear that as well, as in terms of like how you identify and in terms of, your career or kind of what your focus is on right now, what's meaningful to you. So a little bit about me. So we have one ambitious achiever. Thank you, Melissa. So I think that for me, I've really identified with all of these things in the past. So I both am an entrepreneur, a heart-centered hustler, and I've also been, and I was an employee before I started my own business, and definitely had that feeling of hitting my head on the glass ceiling. So we've got a couple heart-centered hustlers here, a few heart-centered hustlers. One Farrell saying that you think that you're a heart-centered hustler. So yeah, I totally get it. Creative entrepreneur. So you can definitely see, thank you all for answering, that there's so many different ways that our calling shows up for us. And it's already something that's bubbling underneath the surface. So really, this class is really about helping us connect to our motivation that will allow us to be more aligned with that path. And so that's really what, I think I've been figuring out in my own life. Like I said, I was an employee. I thought I was going to stay an employee a little bit longer, but it just worked out that I took a leap. Actually, I took a leap to start my own business after I got fired. I was in a management position with a practice, and I thought I was going to be moving in that direction. And I got fired, and I took that opportunity. I went into like despair for about 2 days and freaked out. And then I just said, let me just try. Like, this is my chance. Like, they gave me severance. Let me just try to start my own thing. I started my own thing. I did well enough to know that it could work. And now it's working. Like, I still I have a business that's grown, that's scaled. We just opened up a practice in California this year, and we're launching our first international school in August. So I really want other people. I think the thing that I've really had the most success with others is helping people to align themselves with a purposeful or meaningful career. So I think that what I really start with people on is what is Cale talks about here in this testimonial. He said that the first step for him was about uprooting his limiting beliefs. And so I think that we often don't realize that we're not aware of how much negative self-talk we're running through our mind in a given day. And so the first part to even like figure most people want to figure out like, oh, I want a career shift. And they're trying to start way out there, like in the level of like their jobs and resumes and applying for jobs. But really, where you have to start is the things that you're telling yourself, because we have to start unlimiting ourselves at the very core level. Because if you don't unlimit yourself from the very inside, that limitation just starts growing and manifesting in every other area. So starting with unlimiting yourself in terms of your self-beliefs is where I love to start with people. And then I think the second thing is around really reinventing how we do self-care. So I was talking to somebody the other day. They said that I do all these things for self-care, but I'm kind of going through the actions. It doesn't really actually make me feel different or better. And so what I want to remind us all about is that self-care, the goal of self-care is that you feel worthy. You feel worthy of love. You feel worthy of being valued. You feel worthy of being able to prioritize yourself. You feel worthy of getting love in your relationships. If that is not what your self-care is resulting in, then you need to improve your self-care. So I really like that Amanda talks here about how she had to really reinvent how she thought about self-care. And that is really what allowed her to start seeing more opportunities in her life and to really start going in a different direction, but also on a new path in her life. So the thing that I want to ask us all to begin with is, when we think about motivation, is I like this example of visualization. So often when we don't even know that we can connect to something inside of ourselves. So I talked about self-care, I talked about uprooting your limiting beliefs, but the idea is those are all things that you're turning away from. Like I said, fear is our biggest motivator. We want to stop being motivated by fear and start being motivated by what is inspiring to us, what we deeply desire. And often we don't even know where to look for that. And if we're looking at social media, we're not feeling very motivated by when we're comparing ourselves on to social media. So I want to give us a little bit of a quick idea around visualization. So the fact that if you can visualize, let me give you an example. If I ask you to imagine or visualize, and first of all, not everybody can actually visualize, but almost everybody can imagine. If I ask you to visualize or imagine taking a bite out of a lemon or putting a lemon slice in your mouth, and take a moment to actually visualize and imagine yourself biting into a slice of a lemon. I want to see in the chat, did anybody's mouth water? Yes or no? If your mouth watered when you imagine or visualize biting into a lemon or a lemon slice. So the idea here is that if your mouth waters while you are visualizing something, that's a sign to you that you can actually feel something when you visualize. And so that's telling you that your body has a connection and has a reaction to something that you see. And this is really where I'm going to start talking to you all about the idea of alignment. Is we want what we wish and what we want. So I'm seeing a few of you all say that you can visualize and that your mouth did water. And so that's the idea of what we're trying to, when we talk about alignment, is it's not just a goal, it's not just an aspiration, but it's something that creates a physical sensation in your body that when you're aware of it, it can start to navigate you in the direction and the process that you need to go in order to move towards that goal or aspiration. We start getting that information from inside our body instead of from the outside world. All right. So awesome for those of you that said that you can visualize and that you also can feel something. So I want you to remember this, to start trying to root and align sensations in your body to things that you visualize and aspire for. One other thing people say about comparison, I'm going to give you a quick little turnaround about that. People often feel like, oh, if I compare, I'm with myself, with other people, like on social media. I judge myself. I feel less about my life. And yeah, that's going to happen. But one opportunity when we start to feel envious about what we see in other people's life is that envy and jealousy is the pathway to informed decision making for yourself. So when you notice yourself being envious or jealous of somebody's highlight reel, you can really start to ask yourself, what is it about that I want for myself? And what is it that this person might have done, or how can I figure out how to get there where they are? Because I mean, obviously you know somebody who's there, so maybe you could talk to them about it. But the idea here is that even the idea of feeling envious or jealous, there is some part of you that is connecting to the knowing that you want that for yourself. So, and that can be motivating if you orient to it in the right way, if you orient to it with the possibility that you can have it and you can get it. All right. All right. Okay. So let's talk briefly about what we're going to do in this class today. So we're going to be going through three parts. So motivation is really the main part of this. And how do we get self-motivated towards what we want so that we can actually get anything that we want in life? And the trick here is that we have to be oriented and aligned with what is it that we actually want. And so the core component of motivation, validation, and inspiration, it really begins with the idea of lovability. And so the idea of what I'm talking about when I say lovability, because it's a word that I made up, is that we are humanly motivated to give and receive love from other people. We want to be loved by others. We want to also love and be in relationship with others. That is a human and natural tendency. And why I'm saying that is because, like I said, fear is the biggest motivator of our behavior. But if you look at the biggest fears that we have, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, all of these things require another person. If it was just us failing for ourselves, it wouldn't be the same thing. But all of those, our biggest fears are actually relational. And so when we acknowledge that our fears are relational, then we have to acknowledge we care what other people think. We care about our relationships. We want to be liked. We want to be loved. Now, the problem is that we are looking for that how to get that love or that likability or that approval from other people through working harder, through striving, through struggling, through proving, which is all, again, those are all ego things. Which ego is also fear. They're similar. So we're trying to get our motivation through striving and by proving, instead of getting our motivation by self-validating that we are already lovable. All right. So I'm going to take us into a little practice about being able to self-validate instead of needing to seek our self-worth from the outside in through validation, or external validation, and through approval seeking and through striving. All right. So self-validation, we're really ultimately trying to, when we do this from the outside and we're doing it, through, again, approval seeking, striving, accolades, promotions, we're really trying to just look to other people to say, like, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough to prove that I'm worth it, that I'm valuable? Do I have enough, like, to be able to, like, material things to show you that I'm enough and that I'm deserving of love? And am I enough to really, work through challenges or deal with these things that are like coming up? Am I enough to matter to you in this relationship? So we're always doing these three things from the outside in. And what I'm going to start teaching is about how do we start doing all of these things from the inside out. So having enough, if you start from the inside out, is about, do you not have enough money and nice cars and a house and things that you can show off to people, but do you have enough, like, mental ability to figure out and overcome challenges in your life? And a big part of how you have enough to figure out challenges in your life is, are you using your relationships And that brings in the third component of, are you enough to use your relationships, to matter in your relationships, that you get the support that you need from your relationship. So I love that I can't remember her name, but she's a holistic psychologist on Instagram. She says that over independence is a trauma response. So I love that, because it's saying that if we're doing everything on our own, we actually are not valuing ourselves as well as we can. We're not caring and loving ourselves as much as we can, because when we really love ourselves, we allow ourselves to engage with others in relationship in a way that's synergistic and supportive. All right. And then the third way, the last one, do we do enough? We're always trying to do things for other people to show and to prove, but we are neglecting that radical self-care that allows us to really feel worthy. So that's really what it means to validate from the inside out. I'm going to give you a very quick practice on connecting to the lovability within yourself versus trying to get it from the outside world in. All right. So I love this picture. This is me and my nephews. And I think if you see my face here and you see their faces, I love to use this analogy of to imagine or to think of yourself being held in the eyes of somebody that loves you, that unconditionally loves you. And I think this picture captures that unconditional love. And I can feel it when I look at myself in that picture. I can actually feel it. So I want to know from you all, where are your sources of love, and what sources of lovability do you have? What relationships do you have that unconditional love? And it could even be with a pet. I was just reading this article about how people who were isolated during the pandemic could actually start feeling that lovability from their pet. And I had an awesome dog years ago. She passed, but she was a great source of lovability. So I would love to hear from you all. What are your sources of lovability? Where do you get that from? And the idea here is that we can start to feel it first within ourselves and start to align with that feeling, have that feeling infuse and motivate how you move about your life and how you make decisions. All right. Okay. So let's get into the second part, which is really about motivation. And what we know about motivation, so we have lovability, right? So this internally validating, starting from lovability within ourselves. And then the idea here is motivation is energy in motion. So in order to have motivation, your emotional energy has to be moving. And I love the emotional vibration scale. I'm going to make it zoom out a little bit more. If you all can give me a number about where you currently are at right now, I would love to know where we're currently at, just so we can give an example. So you see that the higher numbers, like 19, 20, 21, 22, those are low vibrational emotions. And the idea here is that when we're feeling that way, we often, in any emotion, we're feeling one emotion in one part of our life and it's strong, we tend to feel that in other areas of our life. And what we're trying to do when we get motivated is we're trying to say, oh, I want to feel enthusiasm. I need to feel, optimism. I need to feel hopeful. But if that's not where you're currently feeling, that's not where you're currently, where you're feeling or where you're at, you can't connect to any type of emotional movement, because you're going to be stuck. Because it's hard to go from, let's say, blame, anger, and worry directly to enthusiasm. So what you do have to do, though, is acknowledge the step-by-step process. And this is called increasing your emotional vibration. So I'll give you an example. All right, so thank you for telling me where you're at. So 14, 9, okay, good. So let's work with that area. So 14, worry is a really great example. Sometimes worry is a symptom of anxiety, and that's actually going to be the bonus that I'm going to give away at the end. When you learn how to, I'm not going to even, I'll use anxiety, but I'll use worry for now. Worry is a way of relating to your stress in a way that, or a way of relating to stress, or a way of relating to challenges where you tend to circle in your mind, like keep thinking, keep trying to work it out. when sometimes the answer is not going to be arrived through thinking, because number one of the things we know about problem solving and about strategy and about even creativity is that it doesn't come from a chaotic mind. And in the Ayurvedic system, the energy of worry is this circular motion that's like moving around in the mind. It's hard to get clarity, problem solving, or strategy when that's happening. So, the first thing that you actually have to do is be able to create a sense of calm. So, being able to soothe that worry, to still the thoughts, and then something else can happen. But the thing is, when you're relating your problem with worry, you're not able to really relate to your problems or your challenges with the highest degree of problem solving or creativity. And so the idea here is when you learn a different way to relate to your challenges by using another tool other than worry, like for example, by finding ways to calm down first, that emotion of worry might move to something else. Okay. Thank you, Mona. So 14. So, okay, we got a few people in that worry. So yeah, so that is like one of the things that we're going to start cultivating here when we start aligning with what we want. And the other thing, worry, the root of worry is fear. So again, it's a big place where for a lot of us, fear is starting to drive our life. And when we can start relating, finding other tools in which we can relate to stress, that worry can start to shift. And then I think I saw here somebody said number 9, pessimism. So yeah, so pessimism is an interesting one. So is boredom, frustration. So I'll talk about emotions in that level. So often when you think about pessimism or even frustration, boredom, there's something about your situation or your life that is getting frustrated or blocked, or there might be even something that you want that you're dissatisfied with. And that awareness that like something is dissatisfying, there's something I need, but I'm not getting, there's something that I want that I don't have. That awareness can help you shift into what is it that I want? And how can I start to figure out where that is? Or maybe I love this idea where that already exists. Trust is a great example. People are often talking about, I want more trust in my relationship. I want to feel more trust in my partner. But then what they're doing with pessimism is looking for all the evidence that they can't trust. So I love this idea of like, when you know that you want to trust, to look for all the evidence that you can trust or that somebody is trustworthy. And that is actually what breathes into the next emotion up on the scale, which is contentment. And so the idea here is that you're not trying to just jump levels here. You're not trying to go from 18 to 2. You're simply trying to be with the emotion that you have presently. And by sitting with it and gaining the awareness and the emotion that you can have from that emotion, the emotion by itself will move. But what happens when we're trying to jump from 18 to 2 is that we're saying, no, I don't want to feel this. This is bad. I don't like this. Let me get out. And what you constrict against or what you resist persists. And so that's how you stay stuck in the emotion. When you actually want to feel the emotion, get the information from it, and then allow that emotion to move. And when you allow the emotion to move, you metabolize the emotion, it becomes something else. And when you start feeling differently in your life, even though your situation is the same at first, that is how your life and relationships will alter accordingly. So this is the example of increasing your emotional vibration. And this is really how we start to cultivate motivation. All right. Okay, and then finally, inspiration. So this is really what I'm hoping that some of you all will join me on. And I know some of you are already joining me in this upcoming course that I'm doing, which is on self-trust. And so where this is really tapping into is around inspiration. And inspiration is what we have when we start validating our self-worth and our deepest desires from the inside out, and we start aligning with them. And then that alignment, both in our personal life, in our habits, as well and in our relationships, is going to create not just an inspiration, but a synergy. Meaning that when you start showing up differently in your life personally, as well as in your relationships, that you can start creating a reciprocity or a reaction in your relationships that would be different then the reaction or the result that you're creating when you're showing up in this striving mentality, or this I have to do it all mentality, or this independent mentality. All right. So I would love to know from you all, what is a shift or a change that you would like to create in your life or in your world? And that can be, a personal shift from your own personal habits, but it could also be a little bit different. Like I said, the two areas that I have seen the biggest results with people in is in relationship and in aligning their career with purpose, aligning their life with purpose, because ultimately purpose and meaning is not just about your career. And I really like, one of the students in my last class was sharing that when she started to separate her job from her happiness, she was able to work on her happiness separate from her job. And that is what actually allowed her to create more opportunities, rather than what most people are starting with is like, I'm unhappy in my job, which you probably are. A lot of us, I felt enslaved. I don't like to use that term anymore, but I really did not. I didn't feel good when I was working. I did not like getting up early in the morning. And I felt like a sense of depression that I did not feel once I started working for myself. But anyways, that's just my path. But I'm just saying that for a lot of people, yes, your job is making you miserable. However, when you can start orienting towards your happiness from the inside out, your job isn't going to have that power to make you so unhappy. You're going to start creating more happiness in your life in other ways. And then that joy and happiness and fulfillment that you're creating outside of your job is going to increase your emotional vibration. And when you increase your emotional vibration, that is how you start attracting more opportunities. Yes, and I love it. So Yolanda's saying that you're viewing the glass half full, and seeing that what you can start giving to yourself is similar to what you can start giving to others. Yes, and I love it. Heights of Two, overcoming obsessive thinking. That is such a awesome goal to have. Honestly, I think really like obsessive thinking, self-limiting beliefs. So the first thing that we're going to start doing in this course is around changing our relationship to stress by beginning with creating calm. And so it's a holistic way of creating calm in your life, that you can have calm regardless of all the craziness that might be going on in your world. And so that's what we're going to start creating through our self-care. But also, it's not just about self-care. Part of the reason we can't feel calm is we've got some limiting beliefs that we're afraid that if we allow ourselves to be happy, if we give ourselves permission to like ease up a little bit, we're honestly afraid of what is going to happen. And so a big part that we're going to start working on in this course around creating calm and self-trust is facing those challenges and those fears that we have about what's going to change in our life if we really start to ease up a little bit, if we really start to give ourselves permission to be happy. So that's where we're going to begin. And when we begin with that calmness, that's when we get the space to be able to create. And I think that really what that does is it reveals opportunities. So a lot of people that come to me, they're like, I've been looking for a job for a really long time, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years. I put my resume out there. My resume is constantly out there. Looking for a job is like a second full-time job. It's exhausting. I never find anything that I want. Same thing with relationships. I'm 40, I'm single, no good men are out here. DC, no black men are available. They're all in jail, whatever you want to say. So that is all the scenario. However, when you start aligning with yourself from the inside out, what I have found with people that have gone through this work is that opportunities that they had not seen, that were not available, that they did not know existed, present themselves. And so when those opportunities present, now we have a different way, not only to interact with them, but often if we're not aligned with what we want, we're not clear on what we want, we don't even see the opportunities when they do arrive in order to interact with them. And so really this is a class in being intentional. Intentional is a course in manifesting. And I don't mean that in a woo-woo way. I mean that in a way that things will materialize. When you start aligning with what you want, opportunities will materialize. All right. So thank you all for sharing some of the things that you want. And I love that. Like, learn ways to turn up the volume on yourself. That is, Yolanda, that's such a great analogy. Is it because often in our life, I think that we're not even aware of how small we're playing. And so really this course is about self-trust and being able to trust that we can play full out. And I think that one of the ways we start learning to play full out is by being able to do a little experiment in our life, by trying out small little risks that we can take, that we can have the courage to take and see how it goes. And you're going to start seeing that once you start running this experiment in your life, and you'll be able to come back to the class and talk to other people, get feedback from me about how it's going, you're really going to start seeing, oh, I can start playing a little bit more fully. I can show up a little bit more fully. I can turn the volume up a little bit more. Yes, yes. So definitely, definitely so true. Thanks for sharing that. Resonates with you. So here's your invitation, you all. So this is the sacred path of self-trust, understanding that self-trust, as we know before, is not just a you thing. It's a relationship thing. You have to get support from your relationships, not just from other people, not just from your lover and your partner, but from all of your relationships, personally, professionally, friends, family, children. And there's the relationship with yourself and the relationship with spirit. So these are the three relationships that are involved in the sacred path to self-trust and where you're getting your support from. And when you get that support, it's going to give you a clarity about who you are and what you want so that you can then create the life that you desire. And how you're going to start creating the life that you desire is first by unlimiting yourself from all the ways that you are self-sabotage. So thinking is just one level of self-sabotage. And so in our first, I'm going to give you the breakdown here of the class, what we're doing each week. So the first week is on holistic security. How can we start creating security, not just in a material way, but a security in our relationship? Because like I said, our fear, which is what we're getting motivated by, we're afraid, we want to matter to people. And so I'm going to start working with everybody to create a security in your relationships, that unconditional lovability, that knowing that your relationships are stable and secure. And even if one relationship or two relationships aren't, being able to trust in the wealth of your relationships, and from that comes from spirit or from your higher self, that you are fully supported. And then in the second week, we're going to be igniting our intuition, which is our emotional GPS system. And then in week 3, we're going to be taking all the things that we learned into relationships so we can start caring for ourselves in relationship in a different way. So we're moving from independence, which I said is a trauma response, and that was not my quote, but somebody else's. We're going to start being more interdependent in our relationships. Week 4 is really that experiment, how we start making decisions and start testing out how things are going so that we know which decisions and direction do we need to keep going, and which decisions do we need to say like not so much, like not going to go that direction. And this is really where the opportunities start to arise. And then week 5 is really how we commit to evolving after the class is over through staying connected and intimate, not just in a romantic sense, but intimate with ourselves, others, and spirit, and maintaining that connection so that you can continue to thrive and evolve. So if anybody's taken my classes before, I know some of you have, you know that they are at least $100 a class, which takes the value of this course at $500. You're going to get 3 free bonuses. The first one is going to be, you're going to get invited to a live Q&A, live coaching and discussion. That's going to happen every week if you enroll in the course, and the value of that is $250. You're going to get a 4-part recorded intentional living meditation series, which I've done 3 years in a row. It's one of like the most favorite of our offerings. I've recorded it. It includes sound healing, meditation, yoga, and around these areas of self-empowerment, resilience, love, and abundance mindset. You're going to get that absolutely free. The value of these 2 bonuses is $350. You're going to get a money-back guarantee, a 14-day money-back guarantee. And then I'm going to give you a 3rd bonus, which is the life design method. So that means if you sign up while I'm still on this webinar. You're going to also be able to get the life design method, which is a area to be able to align your goals with your intentions in the areas of yourself, relationships, and career. It has videos, it has a little outline format. So if you register today, you will get all 3 of these bonuses for free. This is a review of the life design system. Samantha says that she loves the structure because it makes it really clear. And this is actually, she sent me a picture. She says now she does it with her friends every 3 months because it works. All right, so the total value of the bonuses alone, which you are getting for free, is $475. So with the course could cost $1,000, and that is the value of the course. The actual price that I'm going to be giving this away for right now is $250. And I'm going to go ahead and put this offer up right now. And you all today are going to get this class for $197. Now, if you've already signed up for this course and you know hopefully you know who you are. If you've already signed up for this course, don't buy it again. So this is what you are going to get this course for today. And I'm going to go into a little bit about what it's about, but you all should see the offer. It is here. So you're going to get 5 weeks of this course for $197. And if you go and you click on the button on the page that I just put up, you have the option to make this $197 payment in 3, it says monthly, but they're bi-weekly payments of $85. So you can get started for as little as $85. And I'm coming to the end here, so I'm going to give you all the bonus for sticking around. So the bonus that I'm going to give you all today, since a couple of you shared about anxiety and worry, you can use the word anxiety, but worry is one of the symptoms of anxiety. I'm going to give for free the anxiety calming strategy. And this is a way to be able to start relating to your stress in a different way so that you can start shifting that habit of worry into clarity, confidence, and calm. All right, so I'm going to put that here right now. There's the giveaway. It's in the chat. So that is everything that I wanted to share with you all. If anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer them now while we're still on. And again, you all have until the end of this session to be able to get this offer for $197. I'm going to walk you through what's going to happen if you do register. So you'll make your purchase. That'll either be for the $197 or for the 3 payments of $85. And you'll have the option once you do that to get a bonus coaching from me at a discounted price. And if you want to do that, you can buy that at checkout. And then you're immediately going to be given a login to the life design system, and you'll see that email and that login for that portal. And this is a little bit of a different information here. So your first lesson is actually going to be released this Friday, which is July the 16th. It says the 9th, but we're starting 1 week late. So July 16th, which is this Friday, your first modules for the course, the self-trust course, will be released, and you'll get them by email, but you'll also get an access to a portal. So it's going to be 3 lessons every week, and each lesson is going to be very brief and digestible. So between 5 to 15 minutes long, each module. And I'm going to give 1 practice for physical practice, 1 practice for mental, and 1 practice for emotional. So you'll have the option to holistically start creating these habits. And then you'll get those every Friday for the duration of the course. And then when you come to the class, there will be every Wednesday at 6 o'clock is when we will be meeting online, and I will send you the link for that. And all sessions will be recorded. So if you can't make it to a session, that's okay. You can watch at a later time. But in these weekly classes, which are going to be Wednesdays, and that's 6 p.m. Eastern time, you're going to get the opportunity to get coaching from me, ask questions. And also, I'm really excited to be running these clearness groups with other people. So I love this concept. For example, one of the things that we'll do in the group classes, excuse me, is we're going to do something called a clearness group. And that's actually taken from Quaker meetings. And I'm not using a religious premise here, but I like the concept, is that everybody focuses on one person. Let's say one person has a question that they're trying to figure out. Each person asks that person. Some of you all have taken my coaching class, so I'll start to train you in how to ask questions and coaching questions where you help somebody get clarity on the thing they're trying to figure out. So it's almost like it's a think tank on the thing that you're trying to figure out. So I'm really excited to use the group process for that. So you said you clicked on the link, but it takes you to Moksha Living. So was that for the anxiety strategy or for the class? Let me know which one that was. But let me go ahead and put them in the chat again. I just tested out the anxiety strategy, so I know that one should work. If for some reason the self-trust one isn't working, let me put it here. I put the self-trust course in the chat. If that one works, that one should work. So I do apologize if I tried to test the offer, but that link that I just put should take you to the self-trust checkout. So let me know if that's working. So yeah, so you'll get that group coaching and being able to have these clearness groups. And a lot of students I talked to about the class that have taken my classes before said that they actually didn't do much of the modules that I sent out. They didn't do all of them, but they found that coming to the group coaching sessions was actually one of the most transformational things, because you get to really connect to other people that are working through the same thing. And that's such a healing and inspiring thing, just to know that we're not in this alone, because one of the things that we're trying to unlimit ourselves from is that judgment that comes from comparing ourselves and inaccurately comparing ourselves and evaluating that we're not enough or we're not good enough. And when we can start to compare ourselves to other people and see you're going through struggles and challenges and you have aspirations and just as I do, it's really motivating. It's really healing. It's really inspiring. All right. So I would love to see if anybody checked out that link to make sure that it's working. If there's any questions, please let me know. And I will also follow up with an email just with the link again if anybody's having any trouble. So if anybody's on the fence, I just want you to know that you can actually respond to any of the emails I send out, ask me any questions that you have. But I want you to know that this is going to be a fun class. It's the summer. I'm trying to be chill. I'm not trying to have anybody slave over self-care. So this is going to be like a fun class. It's going to be easy. It's going to be digestible. It's not going to be a huge time commitment. And I know some of you all see me individually or have seen me individually. So a lot of my clients do this and take a break from individual sessions, or they come see me less. And I just want you to know that it's a nice kind of break to give yourself, where you can not just do this one-on-one deep, like, let's fix yourself work. Like, connect with other people, have fun, do the work, but also do it in a way that like you're learning from other people, which is like a really big change in how we orient to our challenges. It doesn't have to be something that you're ashamed of, that you just go talk to your therapist about in this like secret room. Like, really, when you can start to share your challenges and grow with other people, it's transformational. So I really encourage you all to do that. And I hope that you all consider joining me. So I'm just going to give you all a few more minutes here, see if there's any more questions before I jump off. And I just want to thank you all for joining me today. And I'm going to come off the slide and just come back on. So I just really want to thank you all for joining me today. It's really awesome to just have people show up for a class like this and to have your feedback and your participation. So I just really want to thank you for making the time, and I would love to hear how these practices go if you try them out in your life. I would really love to hear how this goes for you and what you think of the practices. All right. So definitely feel free to reach out to me. You'll see my email will come out tomorrow with the recording of this masterclass, as well as a link for the course. All right. So I will sign off here, and I hope you all have a lovely, lovely evening. Thank you all so much for joining me.